Have you ever spent thousands of dollars on invisible fishing line, super quiet trolling motors, and perfectly realistic lures, only to stand on the front deck wearing a jacket that looks like a glowing radioactive banana? It is crazy, right? But almost everyone does it. Today we are going to talk about a huge mistake that ruins fishing trips before the lure even hits the water. We are asking the big question: is your brightly colored rain gear a giant danger sign to fish in shallow spring water? I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to look at your fishing wardrobe in a completely different way. You might even want to throw your favorite rain jacket in the trash. Tell me in the comments right now, what color is the rain suit you take on the boat? I bet a lot of you are going to say yellow or red. Let us find out why that is destroying your chances of catching a trophy fish. Let us set the record straight on why we even have this problem in the first place. For generations, fishermen have been told to buy bright yellow or bright orange rain slickers. It goes all the way back to commercial ocean fishing, where being seen in a massive storm could save your life. Then modern tournament base fishing came along. The pros started wearing bright, flashy jerseys covered in sponsor logos so they would look good on television. And as regular guys, we watched them and thought that is what a real fisherman looks like. We go to the big outdoor stores and buy the brightest waterproof gear we can find. It feels like a tradition, but here is the hard truth. Those commercial guys are fishing in the deep ocean, and those pros are usually moving so fast the fish do not have time to react. When you take that exact same bright gear into a quiet, shallow, clear water cove in the spring, the rules change entirely. You are no longer fishing in the deep, dark water. You are right in their living room, and you are standing out like a sore thumb. Picture this specific scenario. It is a crisp, cool spring morning on your favorite lake. The mist is just barely rolling off the water. You have been waiting all winter for this exact moment. You launch the boat, grab your favorite rod, and head straight for those shallow flats where the big fish are supposed to be warming up. The water is crystal clear, just like it gets right after the ice melts. You are feeling good, but there is a biting wind, so you throw on that heavy-duty, neon yellow rain jacket you bought on sale last year. It keeps you dry, it keeps you warm, and you think nothing of it. You drop the trolling motor and start creeping up to a beautiful laydown log. You make what feels like the perfect cast. Your lure lands right on the money. You wait, you twitch it. Nothing. You cast again, still nothing. You start to think the fish are just not biting today, or maybe a cold front shut them down. But what if I told you that the fish were there? They were hungry, but they saw you coming from 50 yards away. That bright jacket you are wearing is acting like a massive, glowing warning beacon in the middle of nature. Let us talk about the biology of how a fish actually sees the world around it. A lot of folks think fish are just swimming around in the dark, relying only on their lateral line to feel vibrations. While feeling vibration is a big deal, their eyesight is absolutely incredible, especially in clear spring water. Fish have evolved over millions of years to look up. They are constantly scanning the surface and the world above it for two main reasons. First, they are looking for food falling into the water. Second, and more importantly, they are looking for predators. Birds of prey, herons, and bears all come from above. So when you stand up on the deck of your boat or step up to the edge of the bank, you enter their field of view. They have a cone of vision that extends up and out of the water. If you are wearing a color that blends in with the sky or the trees, they might not register you as a threat. But if you are wearing a glowing neon yellow or bright orange rain jacket, you are breaking every rule of natural camouflage. You instantly register as something unnatural and potentially dangerous. We really need to break down the old grandpa myth. The myth says that as long as you are quiet, the fish do not care what you look like. Grandpa used to wear his heavy yellow slicker all the time and catch fish, right? Well, Grandpa was probably fishing in muddy rivers or using live bait over the side of a metal boat in deep water. In those situations, color matters a lot less. But spring fishing is a different beast entirely. In the spring, the water is often very clear before the summer algae blooms take over. The fish are moving up into water that is maybe 2 or 3 feet deep to spawn or feed on bait fish. In this shallow environment, the surface of the water acts almost like a window. It is called Snell's window in science terms. When a fish looks up through this window, they see the sky, the trees on the shoreline, and they see you. When you bring old-school deep-water traditions into a shallow water stealth game, you are setting yourself up for failure. It is time to leave the classic yellow slicker in the garage where it belongs. Let us look at the false sense of security that tournament fishing gives us. We turn on the television on a Saturday morning and see professional anglers wearing electric blue, neon green, and fire engine red. They are catching huge bags of fish, so we think, hey, if the pros wear bright colors, it must not matter. But here is the secret they do not tell you. Those guys are power fishing. They are moving down the bank at 3 miles an hour, casting rapid fire. They are triggering reaction strikes before the fish even has a chance to figure out what is going on. But you and I, we usually fish slower. We pick apart a fallen tree carefully. We wade slowly into a quiet stream. We give the fish plenty of time to look at our bait and unfortunately plenty of time to look at us. When you are finessing a worm slowly across the bottom, that fish is sitting there analyzing the whole area. If it sees a bright red blob hovering above the surface, it will simply swim away. Do not let television commercials ruin your stealthy approach. Think about the specific dynamics of shallow spring water. In the early spring, aquatic weeds have not fully grown in yet. The lily pads are still just little nubs on the bottom. There is very little cover for the fish to hide in. Because they have no cover, these fish are incredibly skittish. They feel exposed to eagles, ospreys, and bigger fish. Their survival instinct is turned up to maximum level. Now imagine you are a base sitting in 2 feet of crystal clear water with nowhere to hide. Suddenly a massive, unnatural shape appears on the horizon. It is not the color of an oak tree. It is not the color of a cloudy sky. It is the color of a highway construction sign. That fish is not going to stick around to see what kind of plastic worm you are offering. Its brain screams danger and it darts out to deep water immediately. You are casting to empty water because your bright rain gear cleared out the entire cove before you even picked up your rod. There is a massive difference between the hunter mindset and the typical fisherman mindset. Think about a turkey hunter or a deer hunter. They spend hundreds of dollars on the most advanced camouflage clothing. They paint their faces. They hide behind blinds. They know that if the animal sees them, the game is over. But for some reason, when guys go fishing, they forget all about camouflage. They think the water is a magical barrier that blocks vision. It is not. Shallow water fishing is essentially hunting. You are stalking an intelligent, wild animal in its natural environment. If you would not wear a bright yellow jacket into the woods to hunt a deer, why would you wear it onto the bow of a boat to hunt a trophy bass in 3 feet of water? We need to start treating shallow water fishing with the same respect and stealth as we do a hunting trip. Blending into your surroundings is the very first step in fooling a wary fish. Let us talk specifically to the guys who fish from the bank. If you are walking along the shoreline, this problem is actually multiplied. When you are on the bank, the fish are looking out toward you from the water. Because you are standing on the land, you are totally outlined against the sky behind you. This is called skylining. If you were wearing a neutral color, you might look like just another bush or a tree trunk on the shoreline. But if you throw on a bright orange or yellow rain jacket, your silhouette pops out violently against the natural background. I have seen guys walking the bank of a public pond, wondering why they cannot catch anything close to the edge. It is because every fish within 100 yards saw a bright orange figure marching down the shoreline. They cast out into the middle, hoping for a bite, missing all the fish that were feeding right at their feet. If you are a bank fisherman, earth tones are absolutely critical for sneaking up on edge-holding fish. Now imagine you are wade fishing in a clear river or a shallow stream. You step gently into the current. You are trying not to make any splashing sounds. You are being perfectly quiet. You are wearing a high-visibility red wading jacket. In this scenario, you are right down in the water with the fish. You are literally standing in their living room. Clear water acts like a mirror in certain lighting conditions. That bright red jacket is not just visible in the air, it is reflecting off the surface of the water, creating a glowing red aura all around your waist. Trout and smallmouth bass in these streams are incredibly sensitive to unnatural colors. They feed on tiny bugs and small baitfish that are perfectly camouflaged in brown and olive tones. When they see a massive red reflection glowing on the water surface, they shut their mouths entirely. You can have the perfect fly or the perfect spinner tied on, but that reflection has already told them the area is not safe. Here is a huge misconception about cloudy spring days. People wake up, see the dark grey clouds and think, well, it is dark out, so the fish definitely cannot see me today. This is actually the complete opposite of the truth. On a bright sunny day, the sun creates harsh shadows and a lot of glare on the water, which can sometimes break up your outline. But on an overcast day, the light is diffused. It is spread evenly across the whole sky. This flat light acts like a giant softbox in a photography studio. It makes bright, unnatural colors pop even harder. A neon yellow jacket against a dark grey, cloudy sky is the highest contrast situation you can possibly create. It is like turning on a light bulb in a dim room. The fish looking up see the dull grey sky and then boom, a bright neon blob moving around. Do not let overcast weather trick you into thinking you are invisible. Cloudy days are when you need to be the most careful about your clothing colors. Let us get specific about the absolute worst colors you can wear on the water. The big three offenders are neon yellow, safety orange, and bright electric red. These colors do not exist in the natural spring environment. The spring landscape is mostly made up of bare brown branches, dark green pines, grey rocks, and maybe some light green buds just starting to show. When you introduce a synthetic, chemical color like safety orange, it triggers an immediate alarm in the animal kingdom. Some scientific studies on fish vision suggest they are particularly sensitive to colors on the red and orange spectrum because it helps them spot blood or specific mating colors on other fish. But a giant, human-sized block of orange is terrifying to them. If you open your boat storage locker and see these colors staring back at you, it is time to reconsider. Save those jackets for changing a tire on the side of the highway, not for sneaking up on a 10-pound bass. So, what should you be wearing instead? If we are throwing out the bright rain gear, what is the alternative? You want to think about the angle the fish is viewing you from. If you are standing high on a boat deck, the fish is looking up past you into the sky. Therefore, sky colors are fantastic. Light blue, light gray, and white are excellent choices because they blend seamlessly into the clouds and the open sky. If you are sitting low in a kayak or fishing from a tree-lined bank, the fish is looking at you against a background of woods and dirt. In that case, olive drab, forest green, brown, and camouflage patterns are your best bet. You want your clothing to absorb into the background, not fight against it. A simple light grey rain jacket will keep you just as dry as a neon yellow one, but it will make you practically invisible to a fish looking up from 3 feet of water. It is a very simple change that makes a massive difference. Now we have to address the safety argument because it is a valid point. Some guys will say, I wear bright orange so I do not get run over by a careless boater. That is a completely fair concern on a busy lake or during a massive rainstorm with low visibility. Safety should always come first, but you have to be smart about how you apply it. If you are running your big motor down the main channel in the fog, absolutely, wear something bright. But when you turn off the engine, drop the trolling motor and start creeping into a quiet, shallow water cove, take the bright jacket off. Or better yet, wear a neutral-colored rain suit and keep a bright orange safety vest on your boat seat. Put the vest on when you are driving and take it off when you are fishing. You can easily balance boat safety with stealth tactics. You do not have to sacrifice catching fish just to be visible to boats when you are hidden away in a shallow creek. Let me share a quick story that happens all the time on the water. Imagine two buddies are out on a boat together. One guy is wearing a muted grey sweatshirt and dark pants. The other guy is wearing a highlighter yellow rain jacket. They are fishing the exact same bait, casting to the exact same bank. The guy in grey is getting bite after bite, while the guy in yellow cannot buy a strike. They think maybe it is the angle of the boat, so they swap places. The guy in yellow moves to the front, the guy in grey goes to the back. Guess what happens? The guy in grey still catches fish from the back of the boat, and the guy in yellow still gets nothing from the front. And the only variable left is the giant glowing jacket. The fish are sensing the bright movement, letting the bright guy pass by, and then striking out of reaction when the less visible guy brings his bait through. It is a painful lesson to learn when your buddy is out catching you 3-1. We also need to consider the impact of fishing pressure. In today's US world, public lakes and rivers get hammered by fishermen every single day. A lot of these fish practice catch and release, which is great for the sport. But it means that a fish might get caught 2 or 3 times in its life. Because of this, fish actually learn. They become conditioned to associate certain sights and sounds with danger. If a bait has been yanked out of the water by 5 different guys wearing bright yellow jackets, that fish is going to develop an instinctual fear of bright yellow objects on the surface. They might not have the brain power to think about it like a human, but their survival instincts wire them to avoid it. On highly pressured lakes, stealth is not just an advantage, it is an absolute necessity. You have to present yourself as a completely natural part of the environment if you want to trick a fish that has a college degree in avoiding lures. The height of modern fishing boats is another factor that makes this problem worse. 30 years ago, guys were fishing out of small aluminum boats where they sat down close to the water. Today, modern bass boats and bay boats have massive elevated casting decks. Some guys are standing 3 or 4 feet above the waterline. When you stand that high, you are dramatically increasing the distance from which a fish can see you. You are projecting your silhouette much further out into the shallow water. When you combine that elevated height with a brightly colored rain jacket, you become a lighthouse. You are broadcasting your presence to every fish within casting distance. The higher you stand, the more critical your clothing color becomes. If you insist on wearing bright colors, you need to sit down on the deck. But if you want to stand up and pitch baits into the shallows, you must switch to sky colors or natural earth tones to hide your towering outline. Let us talk about the visual trigger of movement. A bright color sitting perfectly still is bad enough, but fishing is an active sport. You are constantly moving your arms. You are pitching, flipping, casting, and setting the hook. When you lift your arm to make a cast wearing a neon sleeve, you are creating a massive visual flash in the sky. To a fish looking up, that sudden bright movement is the ultimate danger signal. It looks like a bird of prey diving or a predator making a strike. They see that flash of color move rapidly and they bolt. This is why your very first cast to a prime spot is often ruined. Before your lure even leaves the tip of your rod, the fish saw your bright arms swing backward against the sky. They are already swimming away by the time your bait splashes down. To minimize the impact of your movement, your sleeves and upper body must blend into the background as smoothly as possible. Sun position plays a huge role in how bad your bright gear actually is. Let us say the sun just came out from behind the clouds, and it is at your back. This is generally a good thing for fishing because it makes it harder for the fish to look toward you. However, if you are wearing a neon yellow jacket, the sun hits your back and shoulders, illuminating you like a massive floodlight. The fabric actually catches the sunlight and glows. This glowing effect pushes your bright reflection forward onto the water surface in front of you. You are literally projecting a shadow of neon light into the shallow water where you are trying to cast. The fish do not even need to look up to see you. They can see the glowing reflection moving across the bottom of the lake. It is a disaster for stealth. By wearing dark greens or grays, the fabric absorbs the sunlight instead of reflecting it, keeping the water in front of you clean and undisturbed. This rule applies even more if you are targeting highly visual species. While largemouth bass are smart, species like smallmouth bass and clear water trout rely heavily on their eyesight to survive and feed. Smallmouth bass live in incredibly clear water, often over rocks and sand where vision is completely unobstructed. They can spot a tiny crawfish moving from 20 feet away. If they can see a brown crawfish on brown rocks, they can definitely see a bright orange fisherman standing on a boat. Trout in clear spring creeks are notorious for being the most easily spooked fish on the planet. Fly fishermen know that even wearing a shiny watch or a bright hat can ruin a whole pool of trout. If you are chasing these sight-oriented predators, bright rain gear is basically a self-destruct button for your fishing trip. You must respect their incredible vision and dress down to match the scenery. Think about the financial irony of this whole situation. We spend hundreds of dollars on top-of-the-line fluorocarbon fishing line because the marketing tells us it is invisible underwater. We want to make absolutely sure the fish cannot see a tiny little string attached to our bait. We buy silent, brushless trolling motors to eliminate noise. We spend massive amounts of money on realistic lures that look exactly like natural baitfish down to the scales. We do all of this to trick the fish into thinking everything is totally natural, and then we ruin all of that expensive deception by throwing on a $50 neon yellow raincoat from the hardware store. It makes zero sense. You are worried about a fish seeing a microscopic piece of plastic line, but you are not worried about them seeing a giant yellow human waving a stick in the air. It is time to fix the biggest, most obvious flaw in our stealth approach. To wrap up the stealth mindset, you have to approach every shallow water spot like a ninja. Stalking fish in the spring requires a total package of stealth. It means turning off your electronics so the sonar clicking does not spook them. It means walking softly on the bottom of the boat so vibrations do not travel through the hull. And most importantly, it means looking like you belong in nature. Next time it rains, or next time there is a cold spring wind, leave the safety orange and the construction yellow in the truck. Put on a grey, blue, or green jacket. Stand still, move slowly, and blend into the sky. You will be absolutely amazed at how much closer you can get to the fish without them knowing you are there. Your strike rate will go up, your missed opportunities will go down, and you will finally understand why the guy in the faded green hoodie always seems to catch the biggest fish. So let us sum it all up. Your brightly colored rain gear is not just a fashion statement, it is a giant, glowing danger sign to every fish in shallow water. We have learned that fish have an incredible cone of vision, and when they look up into Snell's window, your neon yellow or bright orange jacket screams predator. The most turning point realization here is that you can have the best bait, the most expensive invisible line, and the perfect cast, but if your jacket spooks them first, none of it matters. Changing to sky blues, light grays, or natural earth tones might be the single easiest and cheapest way to instantly catch more fish this spring. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us today. If this video changed the way you think about your fishing gear, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps out. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the craziest color you have ever worn on the water? And are you throwing it away after watching this? Let us talk about it in the comments.